experience where two have truly become one. God is at the center of us, our purpose and vision in His love. We dedicate our today, tomorrow, and always to You, our King. Bless and let there be love in our home. The marriage experience ordained by You alone. The marriage experience. The marriage experience ordained by You alone.
Welcome to the Marriage Experience program with Ayokunle and Bosede Santos, where they explore what it means to cultivate a God-centric marriage, delivering realistic and biblical wisdom, pointers and insights from couples and individuals on their marriage journey. Enjoy.
Hello, welcome back to the Marriage Experience program. My name is Ayokunle Santos, and with me is my wife.
Bosede Santos.
You're very welcome. Now, I'd like to share a quote with you about marriage, and it says, "Great marriages don't just happen. They are the result of consistent investments of time, of understanding, of mutual respect, of affection, forgiveness, and commitment."
Right. That quote just absolutely sums up our goal for this program. It's just to help us to build that commitment mentality, and just to keep on working at our marriages. So last week, we introduced ourselves, we introduced our story, and we talked about the reason why we decided to do this program. And we also, described for you why we named this program An Experience. It's about what we are presently encountering and also what we want to grow into. So today we're going to be looking at the origin of marriage. Marriage was God's idea. Everything that He created, he would keep on saying, "It is good, it is good, it is good," until He got to the situation where He saw that Adam was alone. Then He said, "It is not good that man should be alone. We will make for him a helper that is suitable for him." So in other words, that God is saying that for marriage, there has to be companionship, there has to be help, and also there has to be suitability.
One of the questions people ask about suitability, for example, is how can we tell that this is a suitable person? Or questions like, does that mean there's only just one man for one woman somewhere in the world, where the marriage won't work if you do not find what some people refer to your soulmate? Now, we'll be addressing all these questions as we go ahead in the program.
Yeah, so I'm just going to share with us Genesis chapter 2 from verse 23. And this was where after God had built woman, I use the word built, when we keep go on discussing the way that woman came to be, you will understand why I use the word built. So this was after God had already built woman and then presented woman to Adam. So this was Adam's response. And the man said, "Now this is someone whose bones came from my bones." Did you hear how I read that? It was flat. This probably was how Adam responded. Now, kind of like attaboy, now This is someone whose bones came from my bones, whose body came from my body. At last, this is bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh. That's the way we understand it, or that's the way we're more used to it. I'm reading the expanded Bible version, and it says, "I will call her woman, because she was taken out of man." So a man will leave his father and mother and be united with his wife, and the two will become one flesh. That way of leaving the father and the mother, this Bible tells us that it's in a sense of now creating a new primary loyalty. I mean, the father and the mother were the covering before, but then now he moves out. The man moves out, the woman moves out, and they both form a new family unit, and they together become the primary point of contact, or the primary concern for each other. And then the man and his wife were naked, but they were and they were united, and the man was united with his wife, and the two will become one body. The man and his wife were naked, but they were not ashamed.
That's correct. One of the points we'll also be looking at later on in the program is how to deal with the change of quote unquote loyalties, how to deal with family as well, how to deal with the new setup that new couples have to face. Do you totally cut yourself from the family, where some people believe that, well, look, now it says I shall leave my father and my mother, so I no longer have any connection or responsibilities to my parents or to my siblings. Now I have my own family, and that's my primary focus. Well, we're going to address that as we go along as well.
Right. So let's look at the different elements of God's idea of marriage, the different components that God expects to be in marriage. First, companionship. What does that look like? What really is companionship? The first thing that comes to my mind is friendship.
Yes, companionship. Yeah, it is friendship. Companionship is also now, if you look at the picture, if you can paint a picture in your mind where companionship is help, companionship is encouragement. Companionship is basically having someone there that you can bounce things off. You can have someone there who's a support to you, who's help to you, someone who is there for you. So companionship is not just having, it's not one definition. It's a whole, if I may use the word, conglomerate of different things that we look at in a companion.
Yeah, so that now brings me, it's taken my mind to the Hebrew word that's used there as helper, and that and it means somebody who will supply support, someone who can give succor, someone that you can feel at home with, someone you feel safe with, someone who would protect or aid or surround. And that word surround even connotes a crown, so the woman will be to the man, a protector will be to the man, an assistant. It will be to the man, assistant not in the sense of a subordinate, but someone who provides the necessary assistance for the person, especially in times of difficulty. Someone who gives moral or psychological support, who just encourages, who gives courage. That brings to mind, remember that story my mother told us about the warrior who,
right.
This man, he went to war and he was so petrified of the other side, the attacking
that was
side.
The king of the village, wasn't it?
Yeah, the king of the village. He was so petrified of the attacking the other village that was attacking his village that he was just shaking. He was out of fear. He was just shaking. And his wife was like, oh my goodness, what do I do? How do I, reverse this situation? Then she started, just singing his praise. And he just said, was like, oh, husband, just keep on shaking, keep shaking and shaking. Oh, that was how you shook yesterday and you killed 1,000. You shook yesterday and you killed multitudes. Keep shaking, keep shaking. Of course, as she was singing his praise in that way, the opposing village heard that and they just took off.
Yeah.
So that is the kind of picture that the wife, that is the support that the wife gives or is expected to give to the husband.
Yeah, and I really like that story because it is very fundamental to what marriage is all about. Now, if you think about it, now if you paint that picture in your mind, what you have is a man who was beginning to fail or falter in his duties. Now, the wife came in as a support for him, looked for a way to help him deal with that situation that he found himself in. So ultimately, yes, the enemies took off and they just ran away because they believed that he's shaking. What they probably initially conceived as fear was actually probably anger boiling up within him, and his abilities to fight increasing. So that is one of the things we'll also be addressing in later episodes as well, where we ask the question: how do you think you can be of support one to the other? How do you think you could be of a form of, if I may use the word, a crutch one for the other? Because we've heard the quote already, look, one of you can do so much, but two of you can do multiples of so much. So we'll be addressing those kind of issues as well as we go on.
So when God created a partner, because that's what that word in Hebrew, a helper, God created one who was going to be a partner or an ally for the man. He had in mind two people who would become one body. That's what the scripture we read earlier on, that's what it pointed to, that the two of them will become one body. And you cannot, there's subsequent scriptures in the Bible that talks about, you cannot hate your own body. So that has now become the essence of marriage, that oneness, that companionship, to be able to stick together through thick and thin. And if we go back to some other scriptures in Genesis, when God, after God had already initiated the idea of marriage, the next thing God did, which I found, so I couldn't initially place it, was that God now presented animals to Adam. Yeah. So, I mean, why would God do that?
Well, first of all, Adam was alone. And, he presented the animals, and Adam called them, gave them names and everything, but then you ask yourself the question, just as Bosede just asked, why animals first? And there's a quote. Would you like to read that quote?
Yeah, right. So we just looked at it that, when God created, God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kinds. Everything, that God created was according to their kind. So, of course, animals are not according to Adam's kind. Yeah. So Adam could not have found a help in any of those animals. But then God initiated Adam into the process of creation, where because that's exactly what he was supposed to be doing on earth, recreating where order is not found, putting things in order. So here, God enabled Adam to begin to perform his function on the earth. He named the animals, and the Bible said, whatever name he gave them, that was the name of it. But then he said he couldn't find a helper that was suitable. So we come into that idea of suitability. I mean, what does that mean?
Yes, I mean, this is another very common question. You often hear people ask questions like, "Oh, so how can I tell if he's a suitable man, or how can I tell if she's a suitable woman?" Now, think of the word suitability. Does something come packaged as being suitable, or do you have the ability to be suitable? And suitability, if I can use that description, suitability is cultivated. Now, I'll repeat that. Does the person come ready-made suitable, or is suitability something that is cultivated over a period of time? Now, these are, again, we'll be addressing these questions more and more later on. But one of the things we want to remember is that we are all different human beings. We are all made differently. We all have different opinions, etc., etc. But one of the things we must always remember is that it is our job, just like a farmer would have to till the ground and then go through the whole process of sowing and of looking after the growing plant or the whatever is growing before he eventually gets to the stage of harvesting what he's planted. So we just as we cannot expect a farmer to reap what he's just planted without actually nurturing and going through all that, all those processes, is exactly the same thing. So when you're talking of suitability is something that is cultivated. Suitability is, yes, of course, you have to start from somewhere. You've got to have a start point. But suitability is something that is cultivated over a period of time. Remember the quote you gave at the very beginning. Marriage is not just it's not just a switch you put on and everything is fine and dandy. It is nurtured. It takes time. There's effort. There's care, and a lot of stuff that is put into it to make the other person suitable.
You're listening to the Marriage Experience program with Ayokunle and Bosode Santos.
So, in order for suitability to happen, one of the things that we believe that must have gone on in Adam's mind was that he had a vision of what this person should be like. That's why, with excitement, he would say, aha, this is now someone taking, from my body. This is somebody who is now bone of my bone and bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. So we all have to have a vision for our marriages.
Yes, indeed. I mean, it's just like in the secular world where you have businesses. You don't go. Say you want to start a business, you don't go to a bank if you want to go and get a loan for the business. You don't go to a bank and go, I have a very good idea and it's going to work. The first thing the bank manager would ask for would be a business plan. A business plan shares what your vision for the business is. How, first of all, where do I want to go? What's my goal? How do I want to get there? What resources do I need, etc., etc. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. To be able to have, you've got to have a vision for the marriage. What do we want to get out of this? How many lives do we want to impact? What kind of a family do we want to have? Without a plan, like some people say, if you don't aim for anything in specific, that's exactly what exactly what you hit.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing specific.
Yeah.
So there has to be a vision, and that vision guides you. It keeps you like a lighthouse. in the middle of a dark sea. It keeps you focused and it keeps you going in the right direction.
Yeah, Habakkuk says that write the vision, make it plain, so
Indeed,
that those who run with it, who read it, right, may run with it. So if you don't have a vision from the very beginning, from the inception of your marriage, then there's really nothing to work towards. There's nothing to grow into. Right. So, from all the conversation between God and Adam, another thing that we can pull out is there was an agreement to, who this woman is or was, that eventually they became marriage partners. So, and there was excitement, like I read initially when I was reading that scripture. I initially purposely read it flat so that it just read like any other thing. But when you read it in the instance of what must have happened that day, there would have been excitement. So your spouse has to excite you, right?
Yeah, indeed. That's just as you're saying that. I just recalled a few conversations I've had with people in the past where it sadly came to light that some people didn't get married for the person. The excitement wasn't really for the person, but the excitement was about getting married. Now, there's a big difference there. Are you getting married because you're excited about the life that you're going to live with the person? Are you anticipating, building up a family, growing and having grandchildren, etc.? Or is it just the idea of getting married that excites you? Now, you do have an agreement you have an understanding. First of all, you have a vision that leads to an agreement of where you'd like to go.
Agreement of purpose.
Of purpose, yes. And then the excitement must be something along the lines of, if I may say, you know what, this is where we want to go. This is how we want to get there. We've both agreed. And I'm really looking forward to going on this beautiful journey with you. Not just going on the beautiful journey, but going on the beautiful journey with you.
And apart from that, honey, I think also that the excitement of the appearance of this person.
Oh, yes, of course.
So
of course.
you must be able to, feel excited about this person you're going to sleep beside for the rest of your life, from the day you say I do, right?
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, as everyone knows, as the years roll by,
absolutely,
that picture begins to change. Mm-hmm. So yes, we know that has to be there. There's got to be that physical attraction, mm-hmm. But the physical attraction is something we know that should be maybe like a catalyst. I remember the days of chemistry when in secondary school or in high school, when we talk about catalysts are not really the main part of the chemical reaction, if I remember whatever I remember out of chemistry, but it helps to start the process. Mm-hmm. And then the process, like a stimulant, mm-hmm. yes, to get the process going. So that is really, really important. But the chemical reaction itself mm-hmm. is not based upon the catalyst. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, the reaction would not last long. It won't last.
Yes. Absolutely. So, and, having established that, the final thing right here is that they become one flesh. How do two people become one body? How do they become one flesh?
Well, of course, when two people are in agreement, when two people have one vision, when two people have share that excitement, obviously you're not going to come Siamese twins or anything like that, or co-joint twins as the proper term is these days. But what you are co-joined in purpose. You're co-joined in vision. You're co-joined in video excitement as well. That is being one body.
In other words, your thing becomes my thing.
Indeed.
You know, your journey of life becomes my journey of life. So
Yes.
it has become my responsibility now to ensure that you become everything that God ordained for you to become, and your responsibility to ensure that I become everything that God ordained for me to become.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes, absolutely.
Wow, that is so amazing. And so there's that unity factor in the, notice I didn't say yeah, it's they also harmony comes into it,
Yes,
because
yes.
because you're two individuals, and you know, coming at life from different perspectives.
Absolutely. I think also this is a very important point to cover, and probably take a couple of minutes to do this. Now, unity and harmony. Unity to ensure we all fully understand what the differences between these two are. Unity means both of you doing exactly the same thing at exactly the same time. In other words, you know, you want to buy a car and you both agree that having a blue Mercedes is the way to go. Harmony, on the other hand, is you have different ways of doing things. You would think, those of you who may know much about choirs, you know, with different parts singing differently, but when you put everything together, it's like a beautiful mosaic of different sounds and voices. So there are times that you must be in unison, you know, when you're talking of vision, when you're talking of purpose, but then harmony may come in when you're talking of ways in which you achieve those goals. So if you have, you know, the unity of purpose tonight to have dinner, dinner can come in different forms. So, well, one of you may want this and the other may want that, and then you have you know, like a mixed grill of different types. But the point is, you are unified in the fact that you're having dinner. But then there's harmony because you have different types of meals coming together to form a beautiful dinner. So both are also very appropriate if used in appropriate ways.
And so if we actually want to go into the theology of this, of the union that we're talking about, you see, God took woman out of man. God created a woman from the rib of man. In other words, the what supports the frame of man. You know, we don't want to go into all the Hebrew words, you know, and everybody. Anyway, you remember at the very beginning, I said God built the woman, because that word that was used was an architectural term which means to build a home or to establish it by procreation. So this is also the function of woman in the home, in the marriage, to be the one to build the home and to be the one to establish, to, you know, bring about multiplication as a result of procreation. And this is the woman's responsibility also to establish the stability by, you know, like putting down roots permanently in a home. So those are the words that, you know, or those are the terms that the word that was used, the Hebrew words that was used to in terms of forming the woman. That's what they meant. So in everything that God did, he was purposeful. You know, he was very intentional about what he was creating and about the function that he was establishing in both of them. And after the woman was created, there was consummation, and that is where the unity, you know, came to be. The Bible said the man knew his wife. You know, later on there was consummation and the establishment of a covenant. Well, we're going to be covering the idea of a covenant in the next episode, and so this is bringing us now to you know, kind of winding down to ending this episode. Would you like to just summarize what we've talked about today?
Yeah, so what we've really touched on today, obviously, was the origin of marriage. We've looked at it being God's idea, looked at what companionship is all about, what it means to be help, what it means to have a suitable partner. I remember we talked about also the fact that you must have a vision for the marriage, and that in that vision there must be an agreement, which then leads to excitement, because you have one purpose. We looked at having one purpose, a unified purpose, and a harmonious purpose as well. So each one has its own place and has its own advantages as well. So, and then the fact that a man finds a wife, and finding a wife is a good thing. That is not just what we say, that's what the Word of God says. And if that is the case, then that means the wife is a good thing.
And marriage is a good thing.
Marriage is a good thing.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. We're really excited to have had you with us today. And I'm looking forward to the next episode with you.
Join Ayokunle and Bosede again next week on The Marriage Experience as they bring God's truth to help you build your marriage God's way. Till then, remember, marriage is God's idea and it is a good thing.